Me llenan de regocijo, es cuando dicen hijo, es cuando digo mamá.
Guajira, el sol te llama a bailar, a gozar.
La madre es un surtidor de miel que nunca se cierra, es un astro en la tierra, brilla mucho más que el sol.
El sol te llama a bailar, a gozar.
No le teme a la negrura, él dice todo su espanto. Mi madre. Hola, mi gente, it's Michaela Valletta. Reporting live from Cali, Colombia. Somebody said it's blurry. So I'm on YouTube and I'm on Instagram. So it might be blurry because I'm out of the country and sometimes when I record these videos, it's blurry. So for those of you on YouTube, let me know if the video is blurry, okay? And on Instagram, let me know if the video is blurry, even though I can't do anything about it, I'm sorry. So if you don't follow me on YouTube, you can follow me at The Renaissance Amazon. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at the_Renaissance_Amazon_81. Okay, so if you're on YouTube, you know what this video is about. This video is titled La Realidad de Afro Latinos, which is the reality of Afro Latinos. And I wanted to have this discussion today because I already did a video before called Latina Misconceptions, okay? And just the fact that like people don't understand that Latin America, all of the Americas, is a nation just like the United States. So all Latinas don't look the same, you know? I was speaking to somebody I know who actually is Afro-American and Trinidadian, and he was thinking of the mestizos, which are like the J-Lo type, or maybe the Spaniards, like the Gloria Estefan type. But just as I described in that video, which people should know this, especially if you're from the Americas, especially if you're a person of color, you should know this history. But a lot of people don't know this history, unfortunately. And that is that Latin America, just like the United States, you know, is a mixed nation. You have people from Europe, you got people, the indigenous people, you have people of African descent. Depending on what country you're talking about, you have Asians like Peru. Peru has a lot of Asians mixed in the population with the indigenous as well. So it's a nation, you know, Colombiano, Puertorriqueño, Dominicano. That's not a race, it's a nationality, okay? There are white Haitians. There are Haitians that descended from the French. There are Japanese Jamaicans. There are Chinese Jamaicans. There are white Jamaicans who came from the British. So when somebody says they're Jamaican, that doesn't automatically mean that they're black. When somebody says they're Haitian, that doesn't automatically mean that they're black, you know? And when somebody says American, that doesn't mean that they're white. You could be a Native American, an African American, a white American, a Chinese American, right? So these are mixed nations. And from what I'm seeing from people saying, they're saying that I'm blurry on Instagram. So if I'm blurry on Instagram, the video is on YouTube. So I think YouTube people are saying that the video is not blurry. So sorry for Instagram people that it's blurry. There's nothing I could do. The internet here is pretty good though. It's pretty clear, but I don't know why. I mean, the internet here is pretty fast. I don't know why it's so blurry. But YouTube, let me know if the video is also blurry. Okay, so I feel like I had to do this video again because, I mean, to talk about this subject again. I already did the video called Latino Misconceptions, right? And, you know, I'm here in Colombia now, and I was sitting at this restaurant a few days ago, and most people here do not speak English, right? One of my motivations to become fluent in Spanish was because I wanted to speak to Black people in Latin America, okay? There are way more Black people in Colombia than there is in the United States. Go learn some history, read a book, okay? There's a lot of Black people in America who keep complaining that there's too many slave movies. I keep seeing people say that. Oh, there's too many slave movies, too many slave movies. No, there's not enough. You know why? Because Negroes don't read, because other Americans don't read, because people in the world don't fucking read and don't learn history, okay? Stop asking me to dance. For those of you who keep asking me to dance, stop with that shit, because I'm going to block you. I'll dance when I feel like it. Okay, I'm not dancing right now, I'm talking. So the thing is that, what was I saying? That all the slave movies that have been made, they have been made about slavery in the United States, okay? Slavery didn't just exist in the United States. It existed in Cuba. It existed in Haiti, well, for a short period of time. It existed in Puerto Rico. It existed in Peru, in Colombia, and Brazil. All over the Americas, there was African slavery in Mexico, you know? And the slave systems were not the same in every country. How people identify race is not the same in every country. And this is why I'm not always completely mad when Dominicans, you know, a lot of Black Americans, you know, get upset with Dominicans because they say they're not Black. How they define race, how race is defined, depends on the nation in which you live. The United States says that 1 drop of Black blood makes you Black. That is a U.S. thing. That is not the same rule in Puerto Rico. That is not the same rule in Brazil. That is not the same rule in Colombia. Like in Latin America, they tend to have gradients. It's not just Black and white. They got mestizo for those who are indigenous and European. They have a term for those who are Black and white. Those term who are Black and Indian. There's a term for those who are Black or African. And from my understanding, I can't remember if this was Cuba or Colombia, but even the term morena, you have morena and you have negra. And I can't remember which country it is. It might have been Cuba, where morena was referring to the free Black people, you know, and negra was referring to those who were not free. You know, they might have been the slaves or descendants of slaves, or, you know, so you have these gradients. In North America, you have the same thing, but we just define it as Black and white, except for in New Orleans, where you have Creole. You know, New Orleans think they're unique because they have Creole people, but Creole people, which is really mixed blood people, exist all throughout the United States. Sorry. It exists all throughout the United States, right? So the thing that a lot of people don't understand, I mean, I grew up with a father who was a Pan-Africanist, and he was a professor of Afro-American studies. And my father was, stop calling me, hold on. Sorry. A friend of mine is calling me. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So ever since I was a little girl, you know, I grew up in Washington Heights in New York City around Dominicanos who looked just like me, just like my family, and more African than me and my family. And I would be confused because I'm like, you know, as I say to my dad, oh, I thought that person was Black, you know? And he'd say, they are Black, you know, they're Black Dominican. Dominican is a nationality, not a race, right? And when I was a kid, not Celia Cruz, Gloria Estefan would come on television. He would say to me, this music doesn't come from people that look like her. It comes from Black Cubans. And he always made that clear. All the stuff comes from Black Cubans. And my dad used to get pissed off because Gloria Estefan never had Black musicians. So it's just like in America, we know that jazz comes from Black people. We know that rhythm and blues comes from Black people. You know, we know that, well, a lot of people don't know that country music comes from Black people in America. Like all of the cool stuff comes from us. And even in America, in North America, they tried to put a white face on it. They tried to put Elvis on the face of shit instead of James Brown. Now, white people might have liked Elvis, but Black people weren't impressed with Elvis. Why? Like we had better performers than that. The Black people I know and my family weren't even fans of the Beatles. I remember my mom said to me, "Why would we like the Beatles? We had Motown. You know, the Beatles was corny to them." You know, so they always would try, even though the Beatles weren't American, but I'm saying in America, they would always try to put a white face on Black music. It's just that Black people in America stood up, didn't allow that to happen. But the fact is that people know that there's Black people in America. People know about Afro-Americans. We have a very strong presence, and we have a lot to be proud of. We have been leaders of the Black world. So when Black people from other countries try to diss Afro-Americans, it's ridiculous because it is Afro-Americans who started the Black is Beautiful movement. It is Afro-Americans who started the natural hair movement, even though in Colombia you see a lot of braids and stuff like that as well. But that came from Afro-Americans. You know, Marcus Garvey left Jamaica and went all the way up to Harlem, okay? Marcus Garvey was in black-ass Jamaica. Jamaica is black as fuck. Jamaica's way blacker, way more African than the United States. He could have stayed there. He could have went to Cuba, which is very Black. He could have went to Haiti. He could have went to Brazil. He could have went a lot of came to Harlem. Why would Marcus Garvey go so far from Jamaica to Harlem? And he himself says in his biography that Afro-Americans were the creme of the crop of the Black race. No offense to anybody, but I'm just saying, Afro-Americans have a lot to be proud of. Because I come from a family of doers, right? I come from a family of freedom fighters, people who are in the front lines of this stuff. It means a lot to me. I know that, you know, my dad will be 77 years old this year. My dad was on the front lines of the civil rights movement. I know that a lot of people who are his age weren't doing shit during the civil rights movement. So there are a lot of Black people, older Black people, who weren't doing anything during the civil rights movement. I actually come from a family that did, that helped all of us be free, that helped Black people from other nations come to North America. Okay, so I don't have tolerance for Black people from whether it be Africa or from other parts of the world insulting Afro-Americans. Now that I've said that, let me just say that, you know, Latin America can be very Black, but Latin America has a race problem that is worse than the United States. And one of the issues is that, you know, Latin America and North America are not, neither one of them are perfect, right, with how they deal with race. They both have their issues. But one of the things with Latin America is a lot of times people don't like to talk about race. They act like they don't see it, even though there's a clear difference in how Black people are treated in Latin America. I mean, even in Brazil, Black people are at the bottom of the fucking totem pole. Black people in Brazil are doing way worse than Black people are doing in America. Okay, you come to Colombia, yes, you know, you got Cartagena is very Black, but Cartagena is not even the blackest part of Colombia. You know, it's the Pacific coast. And I've been, you know, to Medellin, I've been to Cartagena, I've been to Cali. You know, next week I want to go to Bogota. You know, like I like to explore this country. But the bulk of the Black people are on the Pacific coast living in terrible conditions. And you, thank goodness for YouTube, you could, because a lot of y'all don't read, you can go on YouTube and actually look at the videos of how horrible Black people are living. It's just horrible. You have, you know, Black men murdering other Black men, dismembering them, chopping them up. You know, it's horrible. But Latin America, the reason why Black people do not know, or people don't know, that Latin America is so Black is because when you turn on the Spanish channel, you see white faces. When you look at ads in Latin America, you see white faces. They don't really put Black people, you know, they don't really put Black people in the forefront. And that's one thing that Amara La Negra did a good job in really speaking about. You know, Amara La Negra, a lot of you know who she is. I'm thirsty, I should brought my lemonade. Amara La Negra is Afro-Dominican, you know, and Dominican Republic is really racist, they're really ignorant, okay? Now, I grew up around Dominicans. I didn't have a problem with them growing up, but I'm very much aware of how ignorant they actually are and the ignorant things they say. And if you speak Spanish, people who speak Spanish hear it. But at least, you know, growing up around them, me and my brother, we never had a problem with any Dominicans. They never say anything crazy to us. They all look like us in our neighborhood. You know, it was mostly Black Dominicans or Afro-indigenous. I like the term Afro-indigenous because there's all the indigenous people on the island did not die. Okay, so they tell you the story like they tell you in North America. All the Indians died and everything was black and white. That's a lie. That's a lie in North America. It's a lie in the Caribbean, and it's a lie in South America. And if you open your eyes, you can see indigenous people every day. There's a lot of people who identify as being black, meaning African descent, who are really indigenous or might have more indigenous blood than African. So sometimes when Dominicans say they're not black, I don't always blame them because some of those people really are black Indians. They say they're black Indians. A lot of them are. You could tell by their hair texture. You could tell by their skin complexion. They don't look like Africans. And when a lot of us black people from over here go back to Africa, a lot of them tell us, "Oh, you're not black. You're not African." And black people from over here get offended when they tell us that. Okay. But there's a lot of truth to that. Now, some of the blackest people I've ever seen in my life have been in Latin America. Cuba I saw people in Cuba that were blacker than the color black. They were literally like, I went to Cuba 5 times. One of the times that I was in Santiago, I was with a friend of mine from Nigeria, and he told me that he hadn't seen people that dark in Africa, that they look almost Sudanese, okay? So there are way blacker, darker people in Cuba than there is in America. And then, as a lot of people know, the African religions are alive and thriving in Latin America, okay? So it's like people there's actually a series on Netflix called La Esclavo Blanco or Blanca, Esclava Blanca or something, called The White Slave, and it's about slavery in Colombia. And I didn't watch it. Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on, my Instagram stopped. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Hey, Instagram. Something was my connection. I don't know. My Instagram video cut off. So if you're tuning in, you can see the beginning of this conversation in the last video. It also will be on my YouTube page, The Renaissance Amazon. So I'm recording it in 2 places. Yeah, so La Esclava Blanca, it's called The White Slave, and it's about slavery in Colombia. And I couldn't watch it because Spanish people could be so dramatic, and everything is like a novella, like a soap opera, and it was just kind of annoying to me. But my father, who is a Pan-Africanist, was a professor of Afro-American studies and made me very much aware of this. He told me it was actually a very good series because he said, when they do those series for Netflix, La Esclava Blanca or the one on Celia Cruz, he said they do very good research. And it was a very accurate depiction because the thing is, and this is something I know from reading books, and this is something I know from studying Black dance in the Americas, that slave societies were not the same in every country, you know? Slavery was not the same in Jamaica or in Brazil or in Puerto Rico as it was in Georgia or North Carolina. So there were different slave codes, whether it was the British, the French, or the Spanish, it was just different, okay? And I get tired of Black people, saying that I'm tired of slave movies, and they act like it's an insult to make movies about slavery. It's not. You know why? Because y'all don't know enough. Y'all don't know enough. There's so many perspectives, okay? Like for me, we can get painkillers, all of that stuff, right? But Black women in America were experimented on, black slaves, okay, were experimented on by so-called gynecologists, white men who were learning, or, they mutilated the bodies of Black women, mutilated Black babies. I mean, I have a book on that, a couple books on that I posted on my Instagram page, right? One is called The Birthing of a Slave, and I forget the other one. And these Black women, my ancestors, they were mutilated with no anesthesia. And they had other Black women hold this woman down while she was cut open and mutilated with no anesthesia. There's no movies about that. And all the movies that we see about slavery is from a male perspective. And this is something that I always say. A lot of men, even so-called pro-Black, fight the power of Black men, don't realize that everything is from a man's perspective. They don't show Like people say, oh, they raped the black woman to get to the black man. It wasn't just that. Everything was not about the fucking man, you know? People always want to focus on what people did to the black man, what they did to the black man. What did they do to the black woman, okay? There are so many black women in America now who have problems in birth. I don't know any black woman in America that hasn't lost babies. You know, a lot of black women in America has fibroids. Or if they don't lose their baby, they damn near die in labor, okay? No other group has this problem. And this is the thing about Elizabeth Warren, who's now running for president, who wants to penalize hospitals that don't, you know, deal with that. And a Puerto Rican friend of mine said, oh yeah, all hospitals should be penalized who don't treat minorities right. And I'm like, no, it's not just minorities, it's black women, black American women, okay? Because other groups don't have that problem. Mexican women don't have that problem. Mexican women have baby after baby, no problem, okay? Black women have a lot of different issues. You know, there's a story I could tell, but I don't want to even tell this woman's story. A friend of mine, you know, that had a Mexican midwife, and she was Afro-American. She had some crazy shit happen to her. Her Mexican midwife had never seen that before, okay? So it was black women in particular that have these issues, and Afro-American descent in particular, okay? And maybe if more people read some damn books, y'all would have some idea of this shit, but people don't. So therefore, like even with me making these videos, you know, every time I have a conversation with my dad, he tells me, Makeda, you need to write. He's been telling me this for over a decade. And my dad says to me, you were just like me, because, you know, my dad didn't become a writer until he was older than 40. You know, before that, he was a professor. He was he was heavily involved in the civil rights movement, but he didn't become a journalist until after he had turned 40 years old, after I was born. And, you know, my twin brother is about to graduate from Columbia University School of Journalism. So, you know, it's like writing runs in my blood, right? But my dad keeps telling me I need to write. But the thing is, people don't fucking read. So there's a lot that you can get to people through videos, you know? Even me sitting here right now in this bikini. I'm sitting here in this bikini because I already had it on and it's hot and I need the sun on my skin and everything like that. But also, I bet you more of you are paying attention because I'm sitting here like this, right? People are simple. People are simple. A lot of men are simple. People are simple and they don't read. So therefore, putting it in movie form is a way to get to people, to get the information out. So I get tired of hearing black people act like it's some type of insult to us that there are slave movies, or black people who act like, you know, but at the same time, they'll praise people making movies like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society and all this other stuff. But then you have a problem with a slave movie. When if you look at the condition of black people in Colombia who live horribly on the Pacific coast, and they themselves say that this all has to do with the whole history and stigma of slavery that is still on them. This is nothing for us to be ashamed of. I'm not ashamed that my ancestors were slaves. I also have ancestors. It's the reason why I always say I'm American. People try to tell me, oh, you're not American, you're African. No, I'm fucking American, okay? For as far back as I could trace, my family has been born and died and buried on American soil. I have family members that fought in the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. I have, you know, every war that's happened in America. And because I descend from Afro Seminoles as well, you know, the black Seminoles in Florida, they fought the U.S. government over and over and over again. Some of the biggest, nastiest battles and wars were Afro Seminoles fighting the U.S. Military, okay? Because Florida was a Spanish territory before it was U.S. territory. And then my father, who was in the front lines of the civil rights movement and was a part of the organization that strategically put the Black Panthers together. My dad was one of the founders of the first Afro-American Studies Department in the United States at UMass Amherst. And my dad was a professor of Afro-American Studies with no college degree for being involved in the movement, okay? So this shit runs in my blood. So I take offense when somebody wants to tell me I'm not, when somebody wants to tell me, you know, that this is not my land, or you are first generation or second generation American and you think that you history. Now, all of the Americas has an intertwined history. Okay, that is South America, the Caribbean. I mean, Haitian soldiers fought in the Civil War. They fought in the Revolutionary War. You know, Chicago tied to Haiti. You know, I study Afro-Puerto Rican Boba. You find out some of those come from Haiti. You know, there's this. We have a blended history, right? A blended history. But all the dances, you know, the dances, the rhythms that I study, they come from the trauma of slavery. They were used by our ancestors for healing purposes. They were used by our ancestors to document our history, our mysteries, our cosmology, okay? And the Afro-indigenous dances that come from, the Afro-indigenous dances that come from the Americas, all come from slave society and what we were allowed to do. If you look at capoeira from Brazil, the whole history is, okay, the slave master said that you can't dance. Okay, so they made up, and how they defined dance was, oh, you can't pick your feet up off the floor or something. So like, you know, now they're gonna slide their feet, or like, you know, they disguise the dance. In Peru, they took away their instruments, like they took away the drums like they did in America. In Peru, they have instruments that are made from bones. They tap dance and they step like Afro-Americans. They have a dance called Zapateo where they are tapping and stepping. Like, I thought only Afro-Americans tap dance and stepped. Afro-Peruvians do it too, but they combine this shit. And Peru is another place that I must go to, must connect with my Black people and study those things. So there's a lot that I've learned from studying the dances. People think that I'm joking, you know, and this is the reason why no matter how old I get, you're going to see me dancing. You're going to see me shaking. You're going to see me gyrating. You're going to see me circling my hips. And it's like, it may be entertaining to you, and that's cool, but I'm doing it for me. And I'm always going to do it for me. I'm going to do it for my ancestors. And I don't care who has a problem with it. Okay? And I see that somebody wrote in my YouTube video that you can't judge a book by its cover because I'm seriously intelligent. Yes, you're correct. Very correct. I always tell people, thank you if you think I look nice, but I'm way smarter than I am attractive. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I know that I'm smart. I don't care who thinks I'm attractive or whatever the fuck, I don't care. But nobody can tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about and that I'm not smart and intelligent and that I don't have critical thinking skills, top-notch critical thinking skills, okay? So now, with that being said, okay, like me being here in Colombia, it's like I see a lot of YouTube blogs, you know, of people that come here and they have no idea of the history. Even Black people, and it's embarrassing. They're like, oh, there's Black people here. They look just like us. Honestly, the Black people in Colombia do look just like Afro-Americans. You know, in Cuba, a lot of them, some of them do look like us too, but some of them have a distinct look that's different. Like in Puerto Rico and Cuba, a lot of the Black, not all of them, because some of them do look similar to Afro-Americans, but I've seen a different look in the build and features of Black people in Puerto Rico and Colombia. Puerto Rico and Cuba. But in Colombia, it's like a lot of them look just like Afro-Americans, like you wouldn't be able to tell. And it's Latin American, and okay, so this is the thing. I was at this restaurant. I'm thirsty. Hold on a second. I need to get my lemonade. Un momento. Hold on, it is seriously hot here. I was in this restaurant here in Cali. Hold on. Okay. Most people in Colombia don't speak English, right? So I was saying that one of my motivations to become fluent in Spanish was because I really wanted to speak to Black people in Latin America and talk to them, study with them, find out what it was really like. And in Colombia, there's a place called, it says, the Colombians have a civil rights movement. I don't know. I don't think so. I know they didn't in Brazil. But I'm not completely sure about Colombia, but I don't think so, right? Now, the thing is, that a lot of people don't know is that there's a place, and I need to go there. I might go there this time because I was supposed to go back to Chicago today, but decided to stay here for like another couple of weeks. So I'm gonna see if I'm able to get to Palenque de San Basilio. And if anybody wants to donate some funds, I can go do some research. Great. But there's a place called Palenque de San Basilio, and it's an hour from Cartagena, right? And it's a town of free blacks. So I think it's supposed to be like the first town of free blacks, and I don't know if that's debatable, but it's similar to like the Geechee Gullah in South Carolina and stuff like that, off the islands off of South Carolina, where you had Africans who were never enslaved. You know, they have their own language, their own customs. You have that in Colombia too. Look it up. Since y'all don't read, go to YouTube and put in Palenque de San Basilio. And you will see lots of videos on this very African town. They have their own language, and it's taught in the schools. They actually, there's a group called Compalice Me or something. They're from Palenque, and they actually came to Chicago, DC, and New York last fall. And I saw them in Chicago. And I tried to tell all my New York people and all my DC people to check them out because they were amazing. And in that performance, they had their drums, you know. They had their drums, they had their rhythms, they were playing their music, they rapped, they were doing hip hop in their language, in Palenquera, right? And Palenquera has some Spanish words, but it's their own language. It's kind of like Haitian Creole, maybe, you know? I have a sneeze. In this performance, they were teaching people part of their language. And I understand enough Spanish that I understood what they were saying. They would speak to people in Spanish and say, this is how you say this in our language. This is how you say this in Palenquera. So they incorporated that into their performance. And in Colombia, there's so much Afrocentric art. And I try to show this on my Instagram page. I post some photos. I mean, like in Cartagena, you have all these paintings of Black women with head wraps and natural hair and braids. And, you know, you see that everywhere. On the artwork, you know, in Cali, the murals. There's a lot of murals of Black people. And I actually, close to where I was staying, I keep passing this house that says like, Ifa Familia. You know, Ifa is a Yoruba spiritual tradition. And I'm not completely sure about Colombia and like what it is that they practice. I know about Cuba. I know Cuba has Ifa, Cuba has Palo, Cuba has, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they have stuff from Benin, from the Congo, from the Yoruba. It's a multitude of things. There's Haitian voodoo in Cuba, like the Cuban version of Haitian voodoo. So there are many different African spiritual traditions in Cuba. It's not just the Yoruba that people know about, okay? Then in Haiti, and I always say that Haiti taught me so much. And even when you guys see me dancing on YouTube and stuff like that, you don't see everything I can do because I don't have a cameraman, I don't have the space, and I don't have the drums. I've been studying Haitian dance since 2006. Haitian dance has taught me so much. I actually have a video on my YouTube page called Haitian Dance is My Yoga. And I can do my best to explain it, but you have to see it. You know, and Haitian folklore dance is hard to find. You know, you can find it in New York City. And if you're ever in the New York City area, I can tell you some really good teachers. And you find it in the Bay Area. It's just recently that there are Haitian dance classes in Miami. There used to not be any Haitian dance classes in Miami. But you're not going to find it in Chicago. You're not going to find it in Atlanta. You're not going to find it in Houston. You're not going to find it in DC. There's New York and the Bay. And then now there's a class or two in Miami. So if anybody wants the information, just ask me, I'll give it to you. Or anybody listening that has information for Haitian dance classes, because I think I saw on Instagram one class in New Mexico, which actually surprised me, right? The Haitian folklore of dance is the business. And with Haitian voodoo, it's a mixture, you know, all those things. And there's so much that you learn, like in terms of where the Africans came from in those different places. And they mix with different indigenous groups. So I use the word Afro-indigenous because the rhythms, the dances, the customs, the languages, they're a mixture of Native American and African stuff. And I have videos on my YouTube page too called Afro-indigenous. It's a 2-part video series that I did when I was in Cuba the first time in 2016, where I talk about the very rich and ignored history of Africans and Native Americans in the Americas. Okay, and when you study the dance, like even Haitian voodoo, people say Haitian voodoo is African. It's just as much Arawak which are the indigenous people who were on that island, it's just as much Arawak as it was African. And the Haitian Revolution, I've known Haitian elders that have said that those were not African spirits that were responsible for the Haitian Revolution. Everybody knows that voodoo was used, but it wasn't the African spirits, okay? Those were the indigenous spirits from that land that stopped slavery. So I get tired of people always saying that Native Americans were weak and that they went to get Africans because Native Americans, they all died from disease and they were too weak. That's bullshit. Stop believing the white man's history. People are supposed to be so pro-black and intelligent, but then you keep reciting that dumb shit and you believe it. It's not fucking true. It's not. That's not true. First of all, yes, a lot of Native Americans died, but a lot of Africans died too, on the way over here and once they got here. Now, the colonizers, they miscategorize a lot of shit, okay? And this is well documented. I can always give you guys a book list because, you know, I do read books, okay? And I read scholarly texts. I don't read books from Raheem and them off the fucking corner who are street scholars who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I was raised around real black scholars, real black revolutionaries, real black intellectuals, and I read books by those kind of people, okay? And so, so anyhow, to get back into it, somebody asked me, somebody said that 80% of Dominican people are dark skinned. Why don't they consider themselves black? So let me say something in defense of Dominicans, right? Yes, Dominicans have a lot of ignorance. They do. Now, but in defense of them, again, race is not defined the same way everywhere, okay? So America says that 1 drop of black blood makes you black. That is America's rule. That is not the rule in Jamaica. Okay, I have an uncle, my uncle, who wrote Stokely Carmichael's autobiography, aka Kwame Ture. I don't know if you guys know who Stokely Carmichael is. Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, he was the head of SNP, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. My uncle is Jamaican. He's a very, 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 very light-skinned Jamaican, like very light. And he went to Howard University with Stokely. Stokely was trying down him. One thing that my uncle says is that back then, because my uncle's probably like damn near 80 now, right? But back then, he said when Caribbean people came to America, they sided with Afro-Americans. They united with Afro-Americans. They joined in that struggle. Now you have Caribbeans coming here that think they're better than Afro-Americans. They don't know the history. I have no tolerance for that. I'm just going to say that straight up. Now, my uncle, who's Jamaican, he's very light. He has a dark-skinned brother. But in Jamaica, they don't consider my uncle to be black, even though but they consider his brother to be black because his brother is dark-skinned. Because he's light-skinned, and they have the same parents. They don't consider my uncle to be black. Now, America wouldn't do that. You know, America defines race differently. America has the 1 drop rule. That's not the same rule in all of the Americas. Now, with that being said, there are also, like I said, a lot of indigenous people who are put in this black category. When we say black in America, we're talking about people of African descent. There are a lot of indigenous people that are still living in the Caribbean and North America. And when I was in Cuba, you see, like, indigenous people don't look like Africans. They don't have the same complexion. They don't have the same undertones in their skin. They don't have the same hair texture. They don't look like Africans, okay? A lot of us here in America, I don't know any black people in America that don't have indigenous blood. I know I have indigenous blood on both sides of my family and African blood on both sides of my family. And a little European blood on both sides of my family, you know? Most black people in America are 3 races, European, and African, and indigenous, whether you like it or not, whether you're dark skinned or not. My twin brother is really, really dark. And my dad is dark. But my dad's mother came from a mulatto class of free blacks in Florida. You know, my mom's father was a Seminole from Florida, but her mother was like half Polish or something, you know? So just because somebody's dark skinned doesn't mean that they're pure African. All right. So the thing is, Haitians are the only Caribbean people who have sided with the melanated people. That's not true. That's not true at all. That's absolutely false. In Cuba, Cuba is very black, and they are very intelligent. One thing about Cuba, so Haitians are very proud of being black, at least the ones I've known. Some of them love to sweat the French, like Jamaicans love to sweat British people. I think a lot of Jamaicans think they're British. A lot of Jamaicans have a skin bleaching problem. Oh, that's another video. I wanted to do a topic. I wanted to do a conversation on that as well, because it is real that in Jamaica, if you're too dark, you can't get a job. That shit is real. And it's worse in Jamaica than it is in America. So people keep criticizing America, but America's race problems are not as bad as you see in a lot of the Caribbean and Latin America. Now, but the thing is that Afro-Cubans are very intelligent and very aware of their blackness, very aware of their history. And when I'm in Cuba, you see books everywhere. Okay, you see books everywhere. And all of the books in Cuba are about real shit. There's no like Eric Jerome Dickey novels or books about bullshit. There's so many books in Cuba that's like, you have a 400-page book and it's like the history of Africans in Cuba. Like there's a lot of scholarly books about the African experience, African history in Cuba. They have books about the civil rights movement in America. Afro-Cubans love Afro-Americans because they're intelligent enough, they read, and so they know the history of black people in America. Only an ignorant person could have a problem with Afro-Americans because you don't know your history, right? Afro-Cubans are not like that. Haitians have a lot to be proud of, and Afro-Americans have just as much to be proud of, okay? Now, so Cuba is not like that, so I don't agree with that, right? But the thing is, I was sitting in this restaurant. Oh, and the thing about, back to Dominican Republic, is that, I grew up in a Dominican neighborhood, and a lot of them do look like dark-skinned Indians. Some of them don't look like Africans. There are Native Americans who my complexion. You can go to, in Cuba, you see people, their skin is so red. It's like they're really brown, but it's really red. And it's not what the African skin doesn't look like that. Their hair texture is different. Their features are distinct. Like Celia Cruz. To me, Celia Cruz looks more like a Taino than she does an African. Like Celia Cruz looks very indigenous to me. Her eyes, her nose, her skin color. But because we've been taught that all the native people, all the Indians are dead, people just see it in black and white. And because a lot of people want to define things how North America defines things. North America just says black and white, but it's more than that. And I care about my indigenous ancestors and my indigenous people just as much as I do of my African ancestors, especially because I live on this land. Where am I right now? I'm in Colombia. Where was I born? In New York City. My family is from North America. The Americas is my part of the world. So it's disrespectful to me for people to just ignore their history and ignore, like, oh, Native Americans don't matter, they don't exist, they're all dead. That's a lie. Okay? Haitian voodoo, like I said, those spirits were Arawak spirits that were responsible for the revolution. And a lot of things and practices within Haitian voodoo come from the indigenous people and not Africans. So voodoo is not just African. And somebody asked me the difference between voodoo in Haiti and voodoo in America. Well, in America, I don't know if you mean the American hoodoo. I don't know if that's what you're asking me. But if you're talking about like the American hoodoo traditions, they're my dad's friend. See, I told you I grew up around these people. These people that wrote these scholarly books are my dad's friend. They'd be at my house and shit, right? There's a woman named Katrina Hazard. Katrina Hazard has written great books on Black dance in the Americas, but she wrote a book called The Mojo Working. The Mojo Working, and it's about Afro-American hoodoo systems. She talks about the different slave societies in the part of the South, like that consisted of like Virginia and Maryland, and as opposed to the part of the South that consisted of Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, versus like Texas, Alabama, Mississippi. Those different parts of the South had different African groups that came to them. They had different customs and traditions because depending on whether you were on a cotton plantation or a sugar plantation, there was a lot of differences. And that book is very, very good. And it talks about Afro-American hoodoo traditions. And so if you want to know the difference, you can read that book. I could always recommend books for you guys to look at. But there is a difference. The similarity between Haitian voodoo and Afro-American voodoo is that they're both a mixture of things. They're a mixture of things. Okay. Whereas like in Cuba, it's like separated based on whether it's from the Yoruba, from the Congo, from the Dahomey. In Haiti, it's all mixed together. You know, in America, it's all mixed together. Now, so I was sitting in this restaurant the other day, and definitely check out my video on Afro-indigenous people. That's on my YouTube page, the Renaissance Amazon, because I get more into the African and Native American connection and intertwined history. But when I was sitting in this restaurant here in Colombia the other day, hold on, wait. Somebody else said, see, I'm just gonna keep saying this is why people need to read. Somebody said, I know one thing, that the Haitian people, we probably would still be in slavery. Haitians showed us the way how to beat up the white man, blah, 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 blah. That's not completely true, okay? Not completely true. If you understand your facts about the slave trade, the smallest percentage of Africans were brought to North America. The smallest percentage. Haiti, and this is, in North America, is a huge piece of land, okay? So Black people were the minority. In Haiti, it's a little island that was, well, it's part of an island, but I'm just saying that island compared to North America is tiny. And it was full of Africans, and the percentage of Africans way outnumbered the amount of Europeans. It could have been like 10 to 1, right? Like 10 Africans to every European or something. So what happened in Haiti could never have happened in North America because we were way outnumbered. So Africans or Afro-indigenous people in America couldn't just overthrow white people because we were surely outnumbered. In Haiti, Africans were the majority. That's why the Haitian Revolution was able to happen. But Haiti did come to Cuba and scare the slave masters, and Haitians did come to America and fight in the Revolutionary War. And the Civil War. So everybody owes Haiti. Everybody can learn from Haiti. Haiti deserves this respect. But I can't necessarily say that Haiti showed us the way, because what happened in Haiti couldn't have happened in North America. Okay. And again, remember, Marquez came to Harlem. Why didn't he go to Haiti? Something to be said about that. Okay. I was sitting in this restaurant in Colombia, here in Cali, and there was a man who, he was speaking perfect English. So I asked him, how do you learn perfect English? He told me he's from New Jersey. But he was a mestizo Colombian. Like, he looked like a J-Lo type or a Fat Joe type. Those are like mestizo that are like Indian Spaniard, right? And what was I gonna say? That he's talking to me and he was saying, like, see, in Latin America, a lot of people like to downplay the race issues, and that's what I'm gonna say. Like, you see a lot of interracial couples here, but mixing has always happened. Most Black people in America also have Native blood and have European blood, so mixing has always been happening. But in Latin America, like now, you do see couples who are Black and a white, or Black and an Indian, or Indian and white, walking together, and people don't trip. People aren't like, oh my God, how could that person be like, you don't see people like kind of, I feel like, trip as much as they do here. But sometimes they try to act like they don't see color or it doesn't really matter. But that's a problem. That's a problem though, because it's not true. So I was sitting in this restaurant, you know, and this guy, he was a mestizo Colombian. He moved back to Colombia to open up a business in 2005. And he was telling me about, oh, Colombia doesn't have the race issues that the United States has. And he told me that when he lived in Jersey, the police attacked him. And so, you know, if you're a mestizo Hispanic and you're in North America, you feel like you're a minority. And a lot of times they put themselves in the same category with Black people, like, oh, we're all discriminated against. And yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to it. But in Latin America, light-skinned mestizo Hispanics are not in the same category as Los Negros, okay? They are not. Los Negros are in a worse position Like I said, go on YouTube. You'll find tons of videos about people doing videos about Colombia, showing you these light-skinned, damn near light bright Colombian women. There's a lot of light-skinned, damn near white, light bright Colombian women who are also gorgeous. But there's a lot of gorgeous black women too, and you hardly even see that. You know what I'm saying? And so this guy is telling me, this guy is telling me like, oh, we don't have the race problems North America has. People here don't really care. But he's saying this to me, and he's talking about how you got discriminated against in New Jersey, but they don't fuck with him here. I'm like, yeah, because here you're light skinned, he's not African descent, so you have a place of privilege. But let me talk to the black people in Colombia and see what they have to say about their treatment, because you're not black, you're not. So people in America who try to say, oh, all Puerto Ricans are black, like, you know, somebody said that Puerto Rican, oh, Puerto Ricans are black too. No, some Puerto Ricans are not black. You know, you have black Puerto Ricans, but you have Puerto Ricans who ain't black. It's like you have black Americans, but all Americans aren't black. You know, same thing with Puerto Rico, same thing with Colombia. I don't know why it's so fucking hard for people to understand that. Hold on a minute. Sorry. Hold on, let me tell my friend to stop calling me because I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb. Hold on. 1 second. Give me a second. Okay. So when I'm sitting here, I didn't like really want to get deep into it with him, but I'm sitting here listening to that, and I asked him about Buena Ventura. Buena Ventura is one of the blackest towns in Colombia, so on the Pacific coast. And I want to watch a documentary about that because I wanted to go over there, but when I watch a documentary, it scared the shit out of me because it's so violent. When people say Colombia is really bad, and I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. It's bad over there. It's not bad over here anymore. Like, you can come to Medellin, you can come to Cartagena, which is also very black, but it's not as black as the Pacific coast, but Cartagena is very black. But you can come to Cartagena, you can come to Medellin, you can come to, Cali, where I am now, and I feel safe for the most part. Even though Cali can be sketchy at night, I still feel safer than I do in the south side of Chicago or Philly or some shit, right? But I'm like thinking that it's easy for him to say that because, dude, you're not black, you know? And so you just want to downplay it. And that's my problem with Latin America. They like to downplay shit. You know, maybe America emphasizes it too much, or maybe America doesn't, because we're the ones, people know that we exist. People know we exist. People don't come to America and be like, oh, wow, just black people in America? Everybody knows there's black people in America, but yet there's way less black people in America than there is in Colombia, in Cuba, in Dominican Republic, in Brazil. All those places are way blacker. But people don't know they have black people, but they know that America does, and North America does. That's because we've had a loud voice. We have made sure that people know about us. So I just feel like, you know, the race issues here, they do exist. I just posted something on my Instagram, something that had come up about how the hurricane affected black Puerto Ricans. And I think that, oh man, my hair is coming out. I think that it affected black Puerto Ricans more than the other Puerto Ricans. That was what the article was saying, like, you know. And so black people in Latin America are invisible. You know, Henry Louis Gates did his Black in Latin America series, which I have my issues with. And I might do a video review about that because I feel like he totally ignores the indigenous people. And he'll be talking to indigenous people, making them think they're African when they're not, which is like really bad research to me. But still, there's some things that you can learn from watching it, you know? And it's like the fact that in 2019, people still don't know about the slave trade. They didn't just bring Africans to North America. Why don't you people know that? Why don't you fucking know that? Why don't you know that slaves were also brought to South America? They were brought to Spanish colonies too, not just people that speak French. Like, you know that Haiti had African slaves. Why don't you know Cuba had them? You know what I'm saying? So to me, in 2019, there's no excuse for that ignorance. But definitely, I did a video on Latino misconceptions. You can go watch it because I'm tired of explaining to people, especially to other black people, that there are black people in Latin America, okay? It could be very black. Merengue is in African. The drums is all Congo, all Congo. All the funky shit from Latin America comes from black people or Afro-indigenous people. It didn't come from the white people. And that's why Miami has a whack ass salsa scene. You know, people try to advertise Miami like, oh, the salsa scene is popping. No, it's not. It sucks. And that's because there's a bunch of white Cubans in Miami. White Cubans aren't the ones that started that shit. It was the black people, the black Cubans. It's just like if a bunch of white Americans moved to China and you had Chinese people who love Afro-American traditions. They love jazz, they love rhythm and blues, they love hip hop, and they're thinking, oh, it's American music, it's American music. And they leave the Afro out. Now you have a bunch of white Americans moving to China, and Chinese people are expecting them to bring rhythm and blues and jazz. But little do they know, shit didn't come from the white people, it came from the black people. That's the same thing with Cuba. So Miami is full of a bunch of racist white Cubans. All the dope funky shit from Cuba came from the black people. And because you don't have that in Miami, then you have a whack ass salsa scene. I've spent so much time in Miami, I've never seen live salsa music. The salsa scene in Miami fucking sucks. And I remember being in Miami one time dancing. These white Cuban women had an attitude with me like, nah, it's like, nah, bitch, this came from my people. You might be Cuban, yeah, I'm American, but I'm black, okay? And actually salsa came from my city, but it came from black people. And that's my issue a little bit with Puerto Rico. I love Puerto Ricans, but I feel like they definitely put a white face on black shit a lot. You know, I've been studying Afro-Puerto Rican bomba since 2006. That comes from the descendants of slaves in Puerto Rico. It's an Afro-Puerto Rican tradition. And a lot of people I see doing it, whether it be in New York, in Chicago, especially when you get to California, they're white, a lot of them. They're either mestizo, some of them are just straight up white. And then because everybody's like, oh, Puerto Ricans are black, they're black, they're black. Those people are not black, okay? And they're putting that face on it, so you don't even realize there's people that look like me and blacker than me who are the ones who are responsible for this. And that's one thing I love about Cuba, because when you go to Cuba, that's the only place I've been to in Latin America where I have seen all black salsa bands, all black, unquestionably black. Afros, nappy hair, braids, and locks, okay? Unquestionably black. So it's time for people to really start learning their history, read some damn books, and understand that Colombia, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Peru, Brazil, America, Jamaica, Haiti, they're all nations, mixed race nations with different ethnicities. All Haitians aren't black, all Jamaicans aren't black, all Americans aren't black. You know, like you have a mix, you have indigenous, African, European, Asians, you know, you got Chinese Americans, Japanese Jamaicans, Chinese Jamaicans, Chinese Cubans. Understand that, people. Understand that. So I think, and the plight of black people in Latin America a lot of times is way worse than it is in North America. Okay, and this is my issue with that stupid actress, Zoe Saldana, who's Dominican. I can't stand that bitch because she decided to play Nina Simone with prosthetics on and blackface. Because a lot of you don't know, in Latin America, they still wear blackface in 2019. They put it on TV and they think it's okay. If they think it's okay. People did that to Amara Negra, making fun of her in blackface. That shit is not okay in North America. It's not okay. So Latin America, a lot of times they like to joke, and it's like this underlying racism. And so you have a problem when you don't want to talk about it at all. You just want to brush it under the rug and act like, oh, we're all equal. We all love each other. It's all good. It's not the complete truth, okay? So, so definitely read your books. And I don't believe... You know, I don't believe that there's anything wrong with races mixing. I don't believe that because somebody's not purely African that they get weaker. I don't agree with that at all. If anything, the argument could be made that they get stronger. And it's not to say that, and I mean, it depends on what they mix with, you know, because no offense to anybody, but I feel like East Indians, I feel like don't have the best bloodline when it comes to strength. Because if you look at Jamaica, anybody in Jamaica who goes to the Olympics, not even just wins medals, But anybody in Jamaica who goes to the Olympics is a black. You don't see Indian Jamaicans competing in shit. You don't see people from India competing in anything. No offense. But Indian people have some pretty weak, unathletic bodies. There's 2 billion people in India. You never see Team India in the Olympics. You don't even see Indian people from Jamaica in the Olympics. So I'm just going to say that. But regardless of that, you know, when you are, the more things you're running through your blood, the more ancestors you have to call on. I know that I have African and European blood and Native American blood. And it's my Native American ancestors. It's a benefit to have Native American ancestors on this land because we live on this land, you know. And Native Americans were not weak people. That's a lie. And so I can call on African ancestors. I can call on indigenous ancestors, you know. So I don't think that somebody's better than somebody because they're mixed or not mixed or whatever. And I don't think it's a problem because people do mix. That's natural. It's not that. But let's just be real about the history and stop lying and covering things up. Let's be real about the sheer inequality in Latin America with Black people. Start doing the research. Start seeing the living conditions of most of the Black people in Colombia, most of the Black people in Brazil, most of the Black people in Puerto Rico. The Black people are always at the bottom, like severely at the bottom, worse than North America. North America, you have more Black people who reach it to the top, who end up obtaining money and power than you will in these Latin American countries. It's just a fact. So I'm gonna stop with this now. Tengo hambre, tengo mucho hambre. Oh wait, did I say that right? Tengo hambre, is that I have hunger? I don't know, I'm hungry. So somebody said, I've seen the Afro-Cuban salsa styles and they're way better. Afro-Cubans could dance their ass off. So can Puerto Ricans though. And Colombians can dance too, but I've been less impressed at Colombia since I've been here. So I think that I'll take them out the category. Not that they can't dance, but I don't think that they're the level of Afro-Cubans or Afro-Americans. And Puerto Ricans are good. There's some good, very, very good Puerto Rican dancers too. Yeah, tengo hambre is I have hunger, right? But is that how you say, if you want to say I'm hungry, do you say tengo hambre or do you say it differently? Because I always said tengo hambre. So my Spanish is getting better since I've been in Colombia, actually. Getting a lot better. But I do, oh, okay. I do need to go eat though. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that Moorish discussion. Okay, so anyhow, I'll try to put some books below. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see some of the books that I post. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you can find me at the_Renaissance_Amazon_81. And if you don't follow me on YouTube, make sure you do at the Renaissance Amazon and take a look at my other videos because I have other videos where I talk about Afro-indigenous. I have a video about Latino misconceptions. And, you know, the whole slave movie thing. I don't think that slavery is something that Black people need to be ashamed of. Like, oh, there's too many movies, because there's so many more stories that need to be told, so many more perspectives that need to be told. And we survived that, and I'm not ever going to shame my ancestors for going through it. That's one reason why I don't like Black Panther. There's a lot of things I don't like about that Black Panther movie. But I didn't like the fact that everybody thinks it was so deep that Michael B. Jordan's character made this statement about, like, he made a statement, I can't remember what the quote was, but basically acting like our ancestors were weak punks because they were slaves. And that's highly insulting to our ancestors. And I don't respect comments like that. I don't. I'm gonna leave it at that. There's a lot of medicine that came out of it. But I hope you all have a good day. If you learned something from this video, please pass it on. Please check out my other videos. And I need to go find some dancing tonight. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.